All right, sorry everybody. I'm gonna try this again, and hopefully we can get it working this time. Some of you said there was a blank screen, so I'm hoping that now it's showing. I'm just gonna. Oh, there we go. I'm using data instead of Wi-Fi, so I think that should help. Sorry about that. And I'm gonna repost that file for everyone. Hey, am I back on the screen? There's no more blank screen. Okay. Technology is not always my friend. Okay, good. We're getting everyone back on. I am pinning the comment, and we should be good from here. Melody's gonna hop on to her phone, just because I think that might be our technical thing going on there. But in the meantime, what are your favorite things to make from acrylic? I am obsessed with making earrings, as you can probably tell. I know, Erin, on here, you make so many fun earrings. Let's see. Melody. Drink stirrers. I can only see 3 people on here so far. Is my connection okay? Oh, there we go. Okay, I think we got it. Sorry about that, everyone. There we go. Hi.
Hello. Okay, now I have to figure out where to put my phone so I'm not holding it.
Sorry about that. I'm glad we're good. My viewer count went back up. I can see people.
Okay, bear with me. I think we're good.
Thanks for being patient, everyone. We're gonna get.
Oh my gosh. Yes, your wall is stunning, by the way.
Thank you.
I love it.
No.
Did you paint it?
It's vinyl stick-on wallpaper. So my parents put it up for me because my dad's really tall and my mom's really good at that, lining it all up. And so I did like one corner and was like, I can't. But they put up the whole thing, and I can not tell you, like, my mom's like, okay, this lines up with this line. I'm like, it would have been all crazy if I did it myself.
I love it. I just got removable vinyl to print on, and so we have a vinyl printer from like our days when we were doing vinyl, and I don't really do anything with it anymore. And the other day, I bought a bunch of stuff to start printing on again in all my free time. And it's still sitting there, but I would love to do something like that. I love it. It's free.
I want to so upstairs in my bedroom, I painted a full wall by hand, just with like my doodles. And so it took me a month to do it. So this was a little bit easier, but
love it.
Definitely fun. Oh no. I'm gonna turn my Wi-Fi back. It's so windy here that if my connection is being funny, I'm so sorry. It's been crazy all day, but I think
Okay, there we go. I was like, can I see the comment too? I think so.
Okay. So they should be popping up like as we go through. You just have to swipe to see them.
Yeah,
Okay. I think
I can.
I think we're okay. Um, the very first thing that I want to brag about is Melody's custom printing options and the new unlimited or limitless acrylic option. And if you all don't know about it, you absolutely need to. I drew this design and she printed it on glitter for me, and it is so cute. And I am obsessed. And I cut out a little S so I could show everybody. Um,
Oh my
it is the
God.
coolest thing. And you had some people do like the metallic checkerboard, and I was just like blown away. So cool.
So I brought a couple of samples. I've been playing with this for so long, and I'm really excited because we honestly, I haven't even scratched the surface of everything that we have the ability to do. I just don't have time.
Mm-hmm.
I'm like,
That's
it
well.
is crazy right now. I'm really excited because it gives you guys a little bit of opportunity to just like stretch your own creative muscles, and hopefully it makes it order too. But there's I mean, we've got almost like 500 stock sheets, and we can realistically print on any of them.
That's incredible.
Mirrors are no. I want to do a little bit more research on them, but other than that, like if you can think it, probably make it happen. So I'm really excited about a lot of the stuff that we're working on. It's definitely going to be a big year for us.
That's so awesome. And one of the questions that we had gotten from Erin was about, if you can print on anything and if you can print photos, and like it sounds like there's literally no limit to what you can come up with. So that's super cool.
Oh, so I had somebody just the other day that sent a couple of photos, and I'm not 100% sure what they're doing. I wanted to reach out and ask them, but I think that they're just selling, possibly, I don't know, but I think they're just selling the 12 by 19 sheets, and maybe adding their own frame or something. I'm not sure, but they sent, one of them was a gorgeous picture of a
Oh
Highland
my God.
cow. And yeah, and they're sending them, I mean, it's $25 and they're sending them directly to their clients. I'm assuming that they're charging, I mean, like you can easily charge $50 to $100 for something like that, like
Sure.
easy. And it was really pretty. It was very gorgeous. But yeah, there's really not much limit. I think the biggest issue that you get into with that is starting to figure out color theory and like how things print, stuff like that. Because, and me and you talked a little bit about this with your print. So generally when we're printing on anything that's going to be like a glitter or a darker base, I always put a layer of white underneath it. You need that layer of white so that your color is going to be vibrant. And if your file isn't color, I call it color theory. I don't know what you really call it, but if your files, I've had a few files that are not quality, and so you wind up with some pixelation of the white around edges and stuff like that. But other than that, there's so much. There's like, I'm loving, Natalie got some today. Right now I'm loving prints on the glitter. So we're printing on the white glitter. I don't think you can see.
Oh, the white glitter. I just cut some stuff out of that today, actually. It's so pretty. Also is it called the Crackle? The new ones
Yeah.
that you have? They are so pretty. I didn't even realize, because I think it was the only one that I didn't have labeled, and I put the paper masking on it, and I thought it was just white. So when I cut it and I pulled that off and it had like the swirls in it, I was like, this is the most gorgeous acrylic I've ever seen.
Craft are the ones that are like, to me, they're so amazing. But Keisha, yes, CMYK. they're one that hasn't taken off the way I expected them to, because it could be in photos. It's very hard to tell, I think, in photos and stuff. But the crackle is one that hasn't, like, I thought it would do a lot. I thought it would sell a lot quicker than it has been. But it's still probably, like, I don't know. I think it's gorgeous.
Well,
like
I'm gonna cut some more things out of it and post some pics in the Acrylic Obsessed because I'm obsessed with it. And I almost did it yesterday, and I was like, no, I don't want everyone to sell it out. Like, this is my new favorite.
We're well stocked, and I think that I love it. I actually, and I think this is partially on me. I need to do a better job of finding the time to make more, because I think with all the pastels, those would be the perfect cute little Easter bunny backpack, Easter bunny basket. Absolutely. And then just a solid color name on top of it. That would be cute. I know. I think it would make, like, a perfect backing for that. I had someone else come in the other day to the store and said they were going to use it for a jewelry trinket tray or something. So I thought that
for anyone that is on here that doesn't use acrylic or who is nervous to try it, once you start, you're never going to stop, and it is an addiction, and Melody is an enabler.
I enable because I too have a problem. Yes. Y'all don't understand when I have a budget when I go to order, and I blow my own budget out of the water every time because they're, what about this? What about this? And I'm like, need it, duh, absolutely have to have it.
Well, that was like, I did my very first mystery box order, and I was literally away for the weekend, and I got a notification. The crackle, the white crackle, it's so pretty. But I was like out of town, and I made my husband open the box so that I could see what I got in my mystery box.
I love it. I'm trying to clear out some more stuff. I'm gonna make some more soon, but oh my god. Hang on, let me see if I can plug this in, if that'll work. There we go. Okay. There we go. Trust. Oh, come on. And then is not my friend at all. Oh, gosh. There we go.
So Keisha had asked about the CMYK, which, yes, it should be in that, but is there a preferred document size? Like, do you need to have a certain bleed 12 by 20? Like, what do you recommend if people want to do a custom print?
So I always tell people to set up their artboard as a 12-inch by 19.2, which is basically, that's the size of a Glowforge sheet, and then 300 DPI, and that's really all you need. It's, I use a lot of patterns from Creative Fabrica and design bundles and stuff. So it's, you don't have to get super fancy. A lot of it's just going to depend on, obviously a quality file type. If you're sending like a screenshot from the internet or something, like, please don't do that. But also, it's not going to do well. Can you put the link to the acrylic? Can you do that? Are you on your phone
I am, but I have my laptop next to me, so I'll pull that up.
Gotcha. So yeah, it's a lot of it's just making sure that you have your own quality file. And then the thing that we've run into, so when we were doing yours, and I actually had somebody the other day too. So you're designing in Procreate, correct?
And I want to switch to Adobe Fresco because it's the vectors, and then it can be sized better.
Okay. I want to know more about that. What is Adobe Vector? Adobe.
So they used to have something called Adobe Draw, and you could work in like pixel brushes and the vector brushes, and it's similar to Procreate, and this is like their new updated version. It's just like a drawing app that you can do the same stuff in it, but they have vector brushes where Procreate doesn't, and that way you can kind of keep that quality regardless of the scale.
Because I think, and and I know we kind of chatted about this, but I want to say that, so on yours, I don't know if you want to hold your print up. So generally when I print I basically tell the computer to print white underneath all of the vector images. On yours and on someone else's, you notice there's a white line outline on every piece, but it's equidistant. So for me, I'm fairly sure that it's a stroke line. Is that correct?
So that makes sense because it's the same width around everything. I didn't apply anything to it, but it could have been like when you brought it into however it prints that it just like converted that. I'm not sure. We'll have to play with that.
Yeah.
And see if we can like make it happen.
So mostly, I guess, if you're designing in Procreate or something like that, if you're not designing in a vector program but you're converting, keep in mind that might happen. And I had someone who tried to blame the program, and I've never had it happen.
No, it's probably something I did when I made the file that I didn't even realize.
Well, and I don't think it's like it's nobody's fault or anything, but I think it's something with designing and converting that's causing that, because it's not somebody tried to say that maybe it's something with the printer, the layers not lining up.
It wouldn't be so
but
perfect.
all of our patterns usually are pretty consistent, and yours and hers were the only two I've ever done since that had that exact same thing. So I'm not, and again, I'm not like the file. I know nothing about files. Like, I can finagle.
Oh, I think did you mute yourself? I don't know what just happened. I think you're on mute. I think you muted yourself. I'm not quite sure. At the bottom, there should be a little microphone on the left. It's the little microphone. Okay. Well, we figure this out. Can you guys hear either of us? Oh no. Can you hear both of us? Maybe it's me. Ooh. Okay. I think it must just be a connection thing. She'll pop back on. While we wait for her to come back on, is there anybody here in the chat that hasn't used acrylic before? Thank you. There we go. Sound is back. Lori, you've not used acrylic before? let me ask, if you haven't used it, what is stopping you from trying it? Okay, there's a couple people who haven't. You're intimidated. Okay. It honestly, I know it seems scary. It's, in my opinion, so much easier than using materials that you have to paint. Oh my gosh. I want to use it for basic shapes, but want to learn more about using multiple acrylics. Okay. Yeah. So, oops. We're having a little bit of technical difficulties here. That's okay. We'll get it figured out. I've had my machine for over a year and take it out of the box. Well, there's no better time than the present to get started. For acrylic, you can layer different colors. There we go. I think we're good. Yes, Joanna, it's so much easier. It's consistent. You don't always have to paint. It's usually the same cut settings. You can color fill, you can layer. There's so many different ways to achieve different options. So I promise, even if it's intimidating, it's worth trying, and you can get a sample box or get some scraps from people that are destashing them and just play with it a little bit, because once you get started, like, you're not gonna stop.
No.
I don't think I've known anybody who's been like, oh, I hate working with acrylic, unless they have like a sensitivity.
And even then, most of the people that I know with sensitivities find masks and stuff.
So just get like really good venting.
Yeah, I guess I don't, and maybe this is because I got my Glowforge just to start acrylic. Like 100%, all I wanted to do was acrylic. I wanted to make earrings. Ask me how many pairs I've made myself. None. And
ask me how many pairs I've made.
I've never liked wood. I never really got into wood. Wood seemed like a lot of work for me, because wood, you either have to sand or you absolutely have to remask it. Like there's no masking. You have to mask it. You have to mask it or sand it or paint it and stain it. And like I am what I call a lazy crafter. I want like one and done. I want something easy.
Yes. And acrylic can come pre-masked. You peel off the masking and you don't have to do anything with it. It's finished. Like it's so easy.
Dude, with Oribon too, adding Oribon on the back. We use Oribon 3M, double-sided adhesive, whatever you want to call it. Like you can make a sign in 10 minutes.
Oh, I brought some examples because I always go a little extra. I did this with the frosted iridescent and the teal mirror, both that I got from you. I put 3M on the back of this, and all I had to do was just take the paper off the 3M and press it together, and it's completely finished. Like, it was so much easier than having to paint.
Those are, and that's probably what, 10 to 11 inches. Yeah, those are easily $85 to $100.
And you can make them into like
wall
art. You can hang them in a window. Like, imagine how pretty that would be with like the sun coming through the different colors. Like,
yep. If you're not doing wall decor right now either, acrylic wall decor is starting to trend.
Especially mirrors. People love things with mirrors. I know I posted it a while ago, that like sword that I did. I gave it to my cousin, or I would be showing it, but like, you sell it as like a novelty mirror and people will go crazy.
I have one girl who started doing the knives. She was doing handheld ones. She went by.
I saw that.
Yeah. She's fantastic. I actually have a sign almost with the same colors, I think. She did the frosted, the teal, and I think hers was pink too. I want to say it was $75 for 3 layers, 10 to 11 inches. And you could probably easily make them, especially with simple cuts like that, in 15 to 20 minutes.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, if you're trying to do manufacturing and like making a solid business of it, acrylic is probably the way to go to ramp up your
Yeah,
production.
because there's no painting, there isn't as many.
Yeah,
What kind of tutorials, Jessica? Is there something in particular that you're looking to make?
I'm scared.
Like earrings or wall art?
I'm scared to touch my phone and see any comments.
I'll try and read them out as they pop up.
I just left. I don't know what happened. There's not a lot of people making good acrylic tutorials. I know that. I want to make some more. I don't have time. I don't know.
You are so busy as it is running, keeping all of us stocked. So there's enough on your plate.
If you,
But
oh
okay.
my gosh,
I know, I believe, is it Jessica? Jessica Hill. She does a whole bunch of earrings. Is it Maker's Fantasy? Is that
yep.
her? She, I think, posts in her group regularly. She does like tutorial Tuesdays. She's a really great one.
Katie was on earlier, I think. She's oh God, I could have thought. I'm not touching my phone, sorry. But she does some tutorials as well. No, I think she works with a little bit of everything.
Mm-hmm.
And then I'm trying to think who else might do some tutorials.
I know that the Craft Closet group, they do a lot of tutorials, and Chris is actually going to be joining us at the end of the month to do acrylic bending. So that's another group that might be helpful to join. I know that Chris has done like some kerf tutorials so that you can put like the inlay pieces that I saw someone ask about. Makers, let me find
Brooke,
it.
Somebody posted it right above.
Oh.
It's right above laser
acrylic jewelry.
Yeah. I forgot what I was gonna say.
I mean, we can absolutely, if that's something that you all are passionate about learning, reach out to some of these makers and see if we can do another live in the Acrylic Obsessed group. I know Melody and I did one a little while ago. I think it was.
I need to do more.
July.
It's probably been a while. Do you know I actually have a bending tool, and I've been dying to unbox it. It's been in the box for I bet 6 months now. I haven't had time. It's last year and this year's been crazy for us. I really want to teach more because there's so much that I see bits and pieces of in groups that sorry, I'm here. That I'm able to kind of piece together and learn, but it's just a matter of sitting down. I'm really hopeful in the next week or two. We have another employee coming on, so I'm hopeful that I can start doing some more. And I would love, we're happy to hop on, and like if you want to start doing some more tutorials on Adobe and stuff in the AO group too, like
okay.
I would take education, particularly acrylic, because I don't think there's enough out there.
Absolutely. Whoops.
One of the things that I challenging, especially as a supplier, is the lack of education. A lot of people that are using acrylic and aren't educating themselves, and then it in turn becomes a acrylic problem, which becomes a me problem when it's a lot of it solved with a little bit more education.
Like the different ways to mask it or raise it off the bed or use the paper towels, which I still haven't tried, but
one of the biggest ones is, and it kind of comes down to one of this, you posted it in the PDF there. The biggest issue a lot of people see is the acrylic being inconsistent in sizing. And it's 100% because like you're never going to find acrylic that is 100% the same size unless you're getting extruded. But then the groups,
everyone doesn't engrave like that. So for anybody watching, there is a PDF in the group that I posted. yes, Denise, it will be on replay. The difference between cast and extruded is, I guess, kind of like how they're made and the ways to use them. And if you're engraving and you want this like really crisp white engraving, you want the cast. But as Melody's saying, it's the way it's made in the molds, it's really hard to have consistent thickness for every single piece.
It's why calipers are so important. It's
Mhm.
why, we talk about kerf, but it's also why when you're doing signs, particularly like table signs and stuff like that, where
Oh,
you
yeah.
want to, why it's so important to measure every piece that you're doing. It's one reason we don't have like bases listed with our blanks, because
Mhm.
you can't manufacture that on a high level
Because you have
for
to measure it and do the calculations for your laser and that material, and it's just there's a lot of things that go into that, which is why I don't sell any files that have bases usually. Or if I do, I have a very generic, this is how you adjust based on your curve, because that's one of the things that is just so hard to keep track of.
it is, and but it's one of those things that I think a lot of people, and I'm just as guilty. I dive headfirst into stuff and just hope for the
Mhm.
best. So my pile of like mess ups is usually way any. I actually don't know that I've finished a project ever. But my pile of mess ups is very large. I tried to make a sign 3 months ago for our new brand launch at the beginning of the year, and it's still sitting on a cart somewhere. Like I don't get to finish stuff. Part of it's my fault. Part of it's time. Part of it though is I'm like, oh, this is a great idea. Let's do it. And then
Mhm.
I don't process. I'm like, I probably should have scored on it. Now I don't know how to center it up. Well, I could center it up, and I need to go back to the laser, but then I need to do this, and that's a mess. So
Yeah, and so that's one of the good things about doing earrings if you're just getting into acrylic and you want to start with something small, or
there,
like Erin mentioned, drink stirrers. And I made myself a couple as samples for today. Um, don't yell at me; these are just for me for my birthday. They are SpongeBob characters.
oh my gosh, Laura.
But so it was like it was so easy. I drew them and then cut it out, and there's so many different colors of acrylic. I don't have to worry about painting them. I can just, wash them with some Dawn soap and be good to go. And so like smaller projects like that are great to get you in the door. And even just, you don't have to splurge on the specialty ones right away. These are the like the frosted ones, and they come in so many colors, and they're just so pretty, that if you want to get your foot in the door and start small, that's a kind of project that could be good to work with. But
You can also fit a ton. So I just did some drink stirs today. Now I did big ones, which is yours are probably a little bit bigger than a standard drink
oh
stir, I think. Um, and mine were pretty big, so I'm doing them for a girl who she actually uses them as table settings. So
oh
she's
nice.
right. Um, and so I fit 20, and I think realistically you should be able to fit up to about 40 standard.
Mhm.
So that's, I mean, it's 50 cents a drink stir. You're $2
Yeah,
in.
I
Like
mean,
a,
this is probably more like the regular style, right? This is
yeah,
my little Bob's Burgers.
love it.
But like you can fit so many of those on there, and your cost is
Yep.
where.
So Keisha Keisha asked you if someone wearing gloves. Um, I don't. I don't know. I don't really use gloves. Usually as far as cleaning, so we just restocked Novus. Novus is a plastic cleaner. If you're using matte, including the frosted, matte doesn't really get fingerprints on it.
Mm-mm.
So that's one reason a lot of people have kind of switched to using the matte options, is that they're really like user friendly, especially when you're doing a lot of like hands on with them. Um, but Novus
And just like a microfiber cloth works really well too if you're using the glossy ones afterwards. Just give it a good wipe with that. And Lori, I put a couple comments back. The website for Melody's acrylic is custommadebetter.com. You get fingerprints all over your work. And yeah, Novus takes it right off. And it's like, it lasts. The bottle I have like the big sizes.
Yeah.
I barely made a dent in it. Like, you can, that shit lasts forever.
I mean, it's if you're doing extensive acrylic, it's a great. I mean, I want to say it's like $13 for the 8-ounce bottle. Like we have a ton. The 2-ounce bottles in stock, they're $4. Like try it out. You know what I mean?
Yeah, just it's worth it. And you don't need like the full set if you're just using you know, just a little bit of acrylic. But that's why there are the 3 levels, right? There's like the fine scratches and then up to more intense scratch removal.
Yep. There's 3 levels. But you have to use them in conjunction with each other. So like you can use step 1 by itself. If you use step 2, you need to use step 2 and then step 1. Same thing if you use step 3, you would use step 3 and then 2 and then 1. So you're kind of like buffing it out, but
it's almost like with sandpaper when you go from the different grits.
Yep. 100%.
So. And then, I mean, you have all the different lines of acrylic, the just regular colors and the gloss and the matte. You've got the pastels, you've got frosted, you've got all the specialties and your ability to print things. I don't think there's any types you don't have. You've got these like gorgeous glitters. So if anyone is interested in glitters, this is like so pretty.
I have a problem. I am not gonna lie. I'm also, I mean, I'm not gonna lie, I'm competitive, so I like to have everything. And I haven't seen an acrylic yet that I don't like, because if I see it, I'm like, oh, I have to have that. This is mostly just my own acrylic collection that you guys get to shop.
Well, we're very grateful for that because it makes our lives easier. Well, my wallet doesn't love it all the time, but it's so fun. And just the fact that you can take all the different colors and put them, instead of having to paint. Like I have all these like funny like holiday earrings that I've made, and this way I didn't have to, like, you could score it and paint those, or you can just cut the different acrylics and not have to worry about that. And I feel like it elevates it as well. And so instead of, you know, having to worry about getting all of your hand painting in the lines, you can just layer your acrylic and you're good to go. And it's just so fun.
I love it. I think acrylic is one, to me, I always kind of equate like wood to me is always reminds me of the farmhouse style, and acrylic reminds me of a more modern style. And that's, I always tend to be more modern. I've never been into the farmhouse decor and trend, which is probably, you know, one reason I like acrylic is I think when I do stuff with acrylic, when you're making signs and jewelry and all of that, for me, I just like the look of acrylic because I think it's more modern and more on par with what I like. One of the reasons I love kind of the Limitless now is, and it's been a while, but I've had a few people who will send patterns and then they say, can you match the core to the pattern? And so one of the first people to do it, she had like a cream and navy pattern, and so we printed it on cream and printed it on navy, and it looks, one of the reasons I love that is because, don't get me wrong, I mean, like standard white clear is the most popular, right? Because I love how bright it is, but when you're printing on it, you can see the white edges. So I love having the opportunity to like upgrade your core to a color that more is in line with the print and the pattern, because then I feel like it looks more finished.
Yeah.
I'm obsessed. Like I'm obsessed with printing on acrylic too, just because I like playing. So yeah, I have a problem.
Keisha asked if you sell half sheets in store and if people can just show up or if you have to have an appointment.
Right now the store's open 1 to 5 Monday through Friday. You can show up anytime in there. We do have some of our half sheet patterns inventoried, but it's mostly like we have. I don't have like I guess a set list, if that makes sense. It's whatever we have in stock, whatever we're printing extra of. So usually if somebody orders a half sheet, then we do 2 at the same time. We'll kind of stock it. So printing on acrylic. So we carry about 450 sheets of solid acrylic, but we also UV print. So this is what Sam's holding up is UV printed onto
the glitter is the core, and then the detail is the print.
So we have a UV printer and that we use. We print directly onto the acrylic, and that way you can customize your heart's content. This is one of my I don't have the file for this. This will not be listed on the website. This was from a customer and she didn't like it. It wasn't what she was going for, but I'm still obsessed with it. And then iridescent black.
Oh, that's pretty.
I don't know how well you can see that, but
is it skulls?
Yeah,
that's neat.
Yeah.
And just like the pop of like the iridescent behind it with like the matte finish of the print is so cool.
I don't know. This one is not like this is actually it's a snakeskin pattern printed on champagne. I don't think you can see that one very well.
Melody, is it possible to glue paper underneath clear acrylic and to have glue not show? I've never tried that. Almost like Mod Podge almost, but like, because I know you can do that with wood, but
if you were gonna do that, I would say just have us print a pattern. With that said, I know I've seen a lot of vendors who do like cake toppers and stuff and use Mod Podge with, is that right? Mod Podge with oil, and they'll glue that down. And I don't think I've ever really seen the glue that way. So you could definitely try it. I think Mod Podge might be your best option there. If that's what you were going for.
Now, I know that acrylic in general is great if it's going to be something outside, something exposed to the elements. What about the printed acrylics? Do you recommend those more for like the wall art product or like keychains, earrings? Is there...
So honestly, I think it's 50-50. A lot of it, the thing with the printed acrylics are, in order to really utilize them properly, you have to dial in your settings. Patterns are much more forgiving than something like a two-tone, and I think what happens is a lot of people are able to cut them effectively, but if your heat and power is too high, what happens is that the edges start to separate, the bond starts to kind of degrade, and you may not see it initially, but over time that's what starts causing the edge chipping. And so I've had a lot of people who have really good success with the UV. I mean, it's UV cured, which is basically like something, right? I have tons of people who have great success with it outside, and then some people who have, most of the time, any issues with the UV printed you hear are going to be edge chipping, and that's, we did just get a product in that I am testing out. I want to do a little bit more testing before I list it. It's called Frog Juice. Heard of it? I know some people have heard of it a little bit. So Frog Juice is actually supposed to be, in addition to being like a UV protectant, it's actually also an edge sealer.
Okay.
And so I think that I really think it's going to be like fantastic, especially because, again, what happens with the UV prints when you're laser cutting them is any issues tend to happen right there on your edges, and the chip is on the edges. And it's because when you're laser cutting, the power and the heat start to kind of degrade the bond between the ink and the acrylic. And it's not usually a big deal, and a lot of times you don't see it. And if you're doing stuff like earrings and little things, it usually is something you'll never even notice. But when you're doing stuff that's going to be heavily trafficked, that's when you start seeing more of
Like
it.
keychains or things that are in and out of the purse, you know, like constantly being touched.
Right. In general, the UV ink and the UV cure should be very, very hard. And it's good. It's a great product because of that.
Yeah, I've been trying to scrape it and I can't.
Right. In general, you're not going to be able to. But when you add in lasers, there's such a fine line, and trying to do that on like a mass level for people, and then trying to tell, like, it's not a product that's as easily forgivable as acrylic. So in general, I mean, I know for me, acrylic, I can cut just about everything on the same setting. And it's because acrylic's really
sorry, I dropped on the floor.
Acrylic, it's a great product because you don't have a ton of issue. I mean, it's plastic. Unless you're burning the crap out of it, which I mean, it happens, but
I mean, I pretty much use medium black acrylic settings on the Glowforge and only have to adjust very rarely. So for anyone who hasn't started, start there, do some tests, and then, you know, if you have to adjust, you adjust. But that's a good place to start.
And I think that I had to plug my phone in again. And now it's time to stay. Okay. So I same thing. I usually always default to medium black. And then we on our Thunder now, we use 2080 or 2580. I need to double check. And it works fantastic, right? Like, you don't have to do a lot of adjusting or anything like that with acrylic, because it's pretty much like there, you know. And then when you introduce in the UV printed, I think a lot of people, one of the reasons it kind of has sort of gotten a little bit of a bad rap initially from some people is because it is not a product that is as user friendly. Like, you can't just throw it in there and go. And some people do, and some people have great luck with that. But again, the biggest issue is if your settings aren't dialed in properly, what's going to happen is you're going to have a degradation between the ink and the acrylic around the edges, and then your edges start chipping, and you say it's a chip product, and it's not. It's just
user error.
Right. And so, and I'm really excited about the frog juice because it is particularly created as an edge sealer. And so I think what it'll do is help kind of seal that edge and seal that bond back so that you won't really have those chipping issues.
Well, that's exciting.
And a lot of people don't have any issues, so don't let me, you know, it's just
getting your testing down, making sure that, you know, you experiment with your materials before you send it off to somebody. That's all. And just knowing what you're working with and the either limitations or, you know, in the fact that we can do almost any custom print ever, like all the possibilities. So it's just getting familiar with it. And I know some people find that a little scarier, but we're here to make it known that it's easier than it seems.
I will help email me, message me. I'm happy to help anybody and help, like, walk through the best way to figure out your settings and stuff. My inbox is always open because, I mean, besides the fact that it's a product that I freaking love, like, if I could print and test and play with printing all day, I would. Or just ordering other acrylic and asking for stuff.
We did also have a couple questions about masking. So I know when you order from your website, you can add on the paper masking. Is it okay to print with the plastic film that comes on some of them, or do you recommend switching it?
So I'll go back to, I'm a lazy crafter. Let me say this. When I had my Glowforge, I still have my Glowforge, but I don't know the last time I turned it on. I would go straight for it. Like, I'm going to throw it there and just cut it as is. Unless you're cutting super duper intricate designs, you're really okay to cut with it. The only issue, it's laser safe. The only issue that you run into is that the plastic can melt it's plastic on plastic, so they can melt together. And if you're doing super intricate pieces, especially on mirrors and cake toppers and stuff, I've seen where you wind up having, like, you break parts of it because that plastic melts to the earth. So that's about the only reason you would want to swap it out. With that said, a lot of it is just what you want your finished product to look like. The more that I get into it, so we have a Thunder now. We rip everything off of the bed with scrap, so everything's an 1/8 inch off the honeycomb. And for the most part, I stick with stock masking. Like when we cut all our sample chips, I don't generally remask or anything like that. And I don't even mask mirror anymore. Like,
what about the iridescent? Because I know it has like that blue film that's a little different, and then the iridescent part that's attached.
I will say with the iridescent, I think most Glowforge users are having the best luck having us mask it or remasking themselves. Most people, I think, are either using paper masking on that or we're paper masking it for them. I think part of it also is because if you laser with the blue masking on and it adheres to the film, a lot of people start peeling the film.
And it kind of cracks it and it all gets, I've done that and not had the best. But that's on me for not, doing my test settings. So
yeah, I have, and like if you're new, if you haven't played around with iridescence or anything like that, iridescent acrylics are literally, they're clear acrylic, not always, but it's an acrylic sheet with a oh god, what is it?
It's like not like a film, but like it's adhered to it.
It's a film. And I was trying to remember what type of film, but I'm scared I'm going to say the wrong type and pay people. But it's a plastic film that's adhered to the front or the back or both, that gives it that colorway and that iridescent effect. And so what happens is a lot of times if you start peeling the plastic masking off, especially if you've cut it first, you wind up starting to peel that the iridescent film off too.
You got like the one with the stars too.
Wait till you see what I have in production.
I love hearing that.
I have so much that especially the iridescents, those have been doing really well.
I know you did like the alcohol ink one a while back. Let me find it. It is so pretty. With like the
yeah print on it. I have some more stuff in queue. The iridescent is another one in our limit list though that you can print on.
And so this is just the regular, and that's like if you engraved on the back of it, and that's what it looks like on the front.
Did you paint fill it?
No, it's just engraved.
It's so crazy how
Isn't that cool?
Different the colors look sometimes.
Yeah.
If my phone dies, I will run and find the charger, but my kids are in the bathtub right now, so I'm trying not to go in there.
But for anyone who hasn't tried the iridescent, it is probably my favorite of all of the finishes, because it's just so pretty and you can match it with so many different things. And once you get your settings and you have CMB mask it for you so you don't have to, then you'll have no trouble.
It is definitely a fan favorite. Any of them, like the frosted, the regular, the pink, the blue, the black.
What about your glitter marble that I'm obsessed with? This is the like light blue, I believe, and it's got that like subtle hint of glitter and the color shift. It's gorgeous.
I mean, I love them all. That's why I keep buying them.
So for anybody on here who hasn't tried it, there's like, they're called the dots, and look at the color shift there. That's just so fun. And then I layered mirror over top of it.
Ooh, okay. I like it.
And so So the 1/16 mirror is really good for that because it makes it nice and light, and you can combine things whether you're doing wall art or earrings, and it's still not heavy. This has a 1/16 clear on the back, and then it's just layered on the front.
Yeah.
And this is the black iridescent that is just so pretty.
I have I think I've got 3 to 6 16th-inch solids in production.
Oh.
So we're expanding those quite a bit too. So many jewelry makers are layering. So I have those in production too, and then really working on that because I know you guys are doing a lot of layering with them. So
yeah, and it's so lightweight. Like it doesn't feel any heavier than just the 1/8 by itself. And if you can add the color, then you could have like almost like red bottom shoes. You could have your own like signature color on the back or something. That'd be so fun.
Damn, that's freaking genius.
I have all these ideas that just
red bottom, but also you'll have to engrave, like score your logo in the back of it, so that
oh my god, ma'am. That is like the cutest thing ever. Did we just come up with like a whole business?
We did. I love it. Oh my god, I love it. I'm so excited.
I love that. I'm looking. I just got the like holographic stars. How do you layer the acrylic? I use 3M on the back of my top layer, or sometimes I'll get fancy and I'll put it on the top of the 1/16, and then I just stack different acrylics. So you can see on the side that there's the 1/16 back layer, and that's what I have the hole in for the like the earring wires, and then you just cut the rest of your pieces, and I say it's like assembling a puzzle. You just put everything back together.
A lot of people have moved to having us apply it to the 16th inch. That's what a lot of people are moving to, is you put your 3M or Aura Bond on the 16th inch because that's your backer, and then
you don't have to do as many peeling off of it,
or even, and especially too when you're doing so many small pieces too, so you're not having to peel off the small pieces or worrying about, especially on earrings, you're doing super tiny pieces. You
don't want to lose any of them either.
Right. So I've noticed a lot of people, most people have moved to, for at least for us when we're applying it, always putting it on the back of the 16th inch.
I think the only time that I wouldn't is if it's something that like isn't entirely covering it. Like this is a 1/8 piece of cheese with a 1/8 mouse on it. So I would just put it on the smaller piece because you don't want the whole thing.
Yeah.
Cut a 1/4 inch black acrylic. So you would start on the thick acrylic settings and just do some test cuts to make sure that you have the settings that are going to work. And there's, Melody, you always have recommended settings on your website for the different acrylics that you offer.
We do.
And I usually just cut like a little star out of it from just like a random shape to make sure that it goes all the way through, and then adjust if needed.
The 1/4 inch, especially in the Glowforge, the only thing I will say is that, so if you're doing 1/4 inch, most of the time you're doing bigger pieces, thicker pieces. I absolutely would not try like intricate designs or small cuts or anything like that. But PG medium black or PG thick. So one thing that I think I see a lot in the groups that drives me a little bit crazy is if you're doing 1/8 inch acrylic, use PG medium. And if you're doing 1/4 inch acrylic, use PG thick. So your proof grade settings in the Glowforge, medium is for 1/8 inch, thick is for 1/4 inch. So for black, you would just use PG thick black. And I mean, that really should cut through. I'm not 100%. Like are you having issues, or are you just curious in general? As far as that goes, for the most part, you shouldn't have a problem cutting 1/4 inch. It should cut all the way through, 0 issues. Just make sure you're using that thick setting and not the medium setting.
That might be time to clean those fans, or make sure to put paper masking on it, or Just make sure that your lenses are clean, all of the usual like troubleshooting that you would do the same as with wood.
If it's burning, are you sure it's 1/4 inch? That's awesome, Jessica. Thank you. I'm always worried about stuff like, because I'm not a teacher, and I'm like, I don't know. I get stressed.
You are a wealth of knowledge, and we appreciate you. So thank you for doing it.
And if something that you bought from me, feel free to just DM me, and let's see if we can figure it out. I agree with Sam. I would definitely look at all of your lenses and stuff like that. 1/4 inch silver.
I don't know anyone who offers
silver. I don't either. All right. I would, if it's something you bought for me, reach out to me. Otherwise, I would reach out to your supply. I don't know of a 1/4 inch silver, so I'm not 100% on that.
Most of the companies that are around these laser groups are all really good about their customer service and are willing to help you troubleshoot. So I would just reach out to whoever you bought it from and see, first of all, where their recommended settings would be, and then if they have any recommendations for you in terms of how to prevent that.
If you got it from somewhere, I mean, if you got it from somewhere that's like larger that probably isn't a small business, feel free. I mean, you're still welcome to reach out to me, and we'll see if we can troubleshoot. I'm not aware of a 1/4 inch silver. So I'd be curious to see a picture of what you're cutting, maybe, and maybe get some calipers on it and make sure it's 1/4 inch, and wasn't sold like, incorrectly or something like that. Make sure everything's clean, all your lenses are good and cleaned up.
Focus if you have on the Glowforge, and then that way it'll kind of measure the thickness too.
Yep.
For sure. Figure it out,
I'll figure anything out. It might take a little while, but we'll figure it out.
We did have another question about how to fix warped acrylic. Do you have any recommendations for that? I know it's probably not the same as wood. So
heat.
Okay.
Acrylic warps with heat. Acrylic bends with heat. So heat. I would try heating it up if you have a heat press or an iron or something like that. And then maybe like bending it the opposite direction a little bit. And then heavy stuff on top of it so that you can flatten it out. Acrylic's going to warp.
I think you froze on me. Maybe it's just me. What happened? Is it just me? Or, oh, okay. I think we're having some more technical difficulties. Does anyone else have any questions before we kind of wrap up for the night? I know there were a couple questions about doing paint filling on acrylic, and I don't know if Erin's still on here, but we had talked briefly about her coming on and helping us do paint filling live, just to kind of go over her tips, because she does that quite frequently with QR codes. So if that's something you all would be interested in, let me know, and we can get things added to our calendar. Oh no. Okay, well, we can wrap up for the night. I know we got a lot of good information out there. And again, as always, if you all continue to have questions about acrylic or about the many things you can do with it, or things like layering earrings, just let us know, and we can host more things like this. Joanna, my paint filling is not great either, but it's funny. the people that are good at it, they get it down like so quick, and that could be really useful for all of us to kind of learn those skills. So I know a while back I had posted kind of asking what things you all wanted to see from us in this group, and I know Mariel's out and about tonight, but you know, there's so many things that she can teach us that I'm not familiar with, and we have a really good list started. So if there's anything else you want us to add to it, or anyone you want to see us bring on here, just let me know, and we can make that happen. Don't forget to grab the freebie earring file that was in the comments. And if you want to try out acrylic, definitely check out Melody on Custom Made Better. And I will post all of her socials once I get off this. So it'll be in the replay for anyone to watch. So thanks for hanging out, and I hope you all have a great night.